In a moment, we will see the car carrying President Zelensky whiz up. The road that you can see there is actually Whitehall, past the row of police vans we're expecting. Here we have the motorcade carrying President Zelensky turning into Downing Street. And you can hear the cheers of the crowd as the motorcade makes its way up Downing Street, through the security posts and bollards, and sweeping President Zelensky in front of Downing Street. A moment's pause as his team get in position for him to exit the car. President Zelensky is in Downing Street meeting Keir Starmer.
President Zelensky, can you get Trump back on side?
Can this be salvaged, President Zelensky?
Can you get Trump back on side?
Is it too late for your relationship with President Trump?
President Zelensky, can you win without Trump?
President Zelensky, can you get Trump back on side?
What is your message to Donald Trump?
Is it too late, President Zelensky?
President Zelensky, how do you repair your relationship with President Trump?
Can you still negotiate with President Trump, Mr. Zelensky?
Can you win without the U.S., President Zelensky?
What's your message to Donald Trump, President Zelensky? Again, can you have your own deal?
Can this be repaired, President Zelensky?
President Zelensky?
Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You don't
God
know that.
bless. You will not have a war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're in
dictating.
no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed
From the
yourself
very-
to be in a
from
very
the very
bad position,
beginning
and he
of the
happens
war.
to be right about
From
it.
the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a good
Brown,
position.
I
You don't
was
have
in
the
a-
cards right now. With us, you start having
I'm not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think
You're
you-
gambling with World War
What do you-
III.
what do you think
You're
about?
gambling with
What do you
World
think
War
about?
III. And
You-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country.
I'm
That's
with
back
all
to
respect to
you.
your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once?
The two men head into Downing Street. The two men heading into Downing Street in one of the most carefully choreographed arrivals that I can remember of a foreign leader meeting the UK Prime Minister. Lots and lots to chew over there. You saw Keir Starmer deliberately walking some way out of Downing Street to show he was coming to the Ukrainian president. And then the UK Prime Minister, Keir Starmer, who is not a tactile individual, if we're being honest, throwing his arms around President Zelensky in an embrace that was designed to be seen all around the world, and particularly in the White House. He held that embrace for some time to make sure that nobody could be in any doubt the side that he, Keir Starmer, had picked in this conflict, whatever the views of the US president and vice president. And the two men then slowly walked to the steps of Downing Street, where again they paused, they shook hands, they chatted, they looked past the journalists' questions and held their gaze into the distance before Keir Starmer walked and ushered President Zelensky in front of him into Downing Street for the meeting that we expect will last somewhere in the region of an hour. But the deliberate embrace from Keir Starmer of President Zelensky, sending the clearest possible visual signal about where Britain is right now after all the turbulence that we saw yesterday. Now we have a country picking a side. Britain stands with Ukraine.
Yes, Sam, the symbolism was there for all to see. As you say, Sir Keir Starmer walking up Downing Street to greet President Zelensky rather than the other way round. A thumbs up, a huge hug, a very warm and long handshake as well. But how carefully, Sam, does the Prime Minister need to tread? Yes, he wants to put his arm around Zelensky, but he doesn't want to damage that relationship, does he, that he has with President Trump, a relationship which was so good on Thursday when the two men met. We know there was nervousness before he flew out to Washington, D.C., but a huge sense of relief afterwards that it went well, and he won't want to damage that in any way.
You're right, Jonathan, but if there was ever a moment to see how to spend the credit that you've built up with another country, if there was ever a moment to take those chips that you've accumulated and try and cash them in, I think Keir Starmer and his team would argue that this is that moment. For all of the hard work put into that visit, now there is a moment where the goodwill needs to be used because there is a huge gulf and a huge job to be done. But quite a lot of it, it strikes me, Jonathan, is actually about rebuilding personal relationships and smoothing personal difficulties. There are still policy gaps, but policy gaps that on Thursday looked like they could be bridged. Now, on Friday, when the discussions broke down in the White House between President Zelensky and President Trump, many of the policy issues remained unchanged. For sure, the minerals deal wasn't signed yesterday, but the gaps on Friday are the same as the gaps on Thursday, which is a problem, but it's also an opportunity. It's an opportunity because the plan that they had can still be the plan that they pursue today. What Keir Starmer wants to do is show that Ukraine is not a pushover, because you push Ukraine, then you're bumping into Britain and the allies that we are lining up the Ukrainian president to see and stand with tomorrow. So lots of not just symbolism, but this is real hard yards diplomacy. And he is hoping that he can make rational cases in order to get a resolution with President Trump. Look, I think quite a lot of what happened yesterday came in the tone. Your previous guest was talking about how it was the exchange with actually the vice president that really inflamed the relations, turned the mood in the room, and ended up with Donald Trump criticising President Zelensky for not being generous enough. But these things ultimately are words and their sentiments and their emotions, and those are things that can be repaired. Keir Starmer went in on Thursday with things that he and President Trump disagreed with, yet at the end of their meeting they were able to have a civil, well, no, better than civil, extremely positive press conference together. There are ways of repairing these things. Keir Starmer's argument, his central belief right now, will be that cool head and a clear sense of direction is the only way you are going to get through this critical and perilous moment. But that does mean taking tough choices. And right now, the UK is tonally breaking from the US, showing it stands with Ukraine at a moment where the US is making itself out only to be some kind of intermediary between Ukraine and Russia. We've picked a side. Look at us, Donald Trump, and we've got Europe with us. We are determined. There is grounds to talk, respectful talk, but there is a way through. All of those are the messages that symbolically in public, and I'm sure diplomatically in private, are being sent from London to Washington right now.